Evening folks, welcome to the Leeds View for the match preview or the stats pack, as we're going to label it now moving forward. Just make it really clear to people exactly what this stream is every week. It is just a simple sit down to look at the form guide, the team news, the data and statistics heading into this game, and then you can form your own opinions on where you think we will go. We'll give some opinions towards the back end of this as well, but I'm not going to keep it long. We'll get in and we'll get out. If you could stick a like on the video at the moment. We did get the news today that the YouTube algorithm has definitely changed, and some of the issues that it's having is it's moving videos and it's not recommending videos to people who normally would see them. So a like and a share and a subscribe, all that kind of stuff will help with that as well. I won't dwell on that too long. We'll get stuck into this tonight, but it's a huge game for Leeds United heading into this match against Burnley. We've talked about it for several weeks now. In the international break coming out of this block of matches is where Leeds will want to make sure that they can get as many points as they possibly can, because that block of games coming up in December doesn't look like Leeds will be able to get a huge amount of wins in those games. But you're in an important period of time before then to try and clock up some wins, get some points on the board, and give yourself a little bit of a gap heading into that time of the year. The bigger part of this is the teams below us in the Premier League, and they might not be must wins, as Daniel Farke said. They're not must win games, and a point per game will work fine, but you will lose that point per game when you play the teams that are in and around the top end of the Premier League as well. So you've got to pick up those extra points somewhere else along the way. So maybe not must win in total for a point per game, but if you look at the league table, these are the ones you need to be winning. These are the games where you got to look at it and go, these are the ones we're targeting for 3 points, because these are teams that are below us in the Premier League. And by beating these, you open a gap, and that makes it more comfortable for you. Again, heading into December, you lose to them, you can be very quickly dragged into that relegation zone. And with Nottingham Forest, West Ham United and Burnley all below Leeds and all coming up in the next couple of weeks, the table down there could change rapidly should these games go against Leeds. So for me personally, this is a game Leeds have got to be looking at and targeting for 3 points, and the home game against Burnley as well, and looking at this as 6 points across those two games. Same with Wolverhampton Wanderers, and then you see where you can pick up the extra points along the way throughout the season. There's no gimme in the Premier League, there's no easy game, and Daniel Farke is yet to beat Burnley as Leeds United manager, so there is some bits to be looked at here as well. The international break also been a problem for Leeds United under Daniel Farke. Leeds have only won 4 times coming off the back of an international break, and he does talk about them in his press conference quite a lot, so it is definitely something that he thinks about and is on his mind. It was an interesting press conference this week. He didn't look happy with answering the question about Harry Gray, and he gave a long answer about that around the houses, but eventually went to we'll announce something when the player is fit, and Harry's not fit at this moment in time. And there's a lot of Leeds players who've got some issues and are picking up injuries and training quite a lot this season that we need to talk about and we need to look at as well. But we'll start off tonight and we'll get stuck in to the form guide heading into this game. We'll start off with Burnley, as they are the home side. 4 losses in their last 5 games for Burnley so far and 1 draw. They've scored 7 goals in total this season and conceded 15 so far. So there will be options for Leeds United to get some goals on the board today and hopefully keep a clean sheet as well. We have been conceding a couple of goals over recent weeks. It would be nice to get back to that solid defence and then also scoring at the same time. It's moved the other way. We started scoring goals, but we've also started leaking them at the same time. Against much better sides, it should be said. But this is an opportunity for Leeds to close the back door a little bit and maybe get a couple of goals while they're at it as well. But look at the home form more specifically for Burnley. They've played 3 games at home this season. They've won 1, drawn 1 and lost 1. They've scored 3 goals, conceded 2 at home. So better defensive record at home. They've picked up 4 points so far this season at home. And they're sitting 18th in total in the table, 3rd from bottom. And that's the point that I'm making around these games. They're only 4 points behind Leeds. A win against Leeds closes that gap significantly to Leeds. So Leeds can make this gap a 7-point gap if they can pick up a win in this game as well. From a Leeds United perspective, played 7 games so far this season, won 2, drawn 2, lost 2, even across the board. Scored 7 goals and conceded 11, 5 of them obviously coming against Arsenal, but again 2 against Spurs and a goal against Wolves as well, and there's goals starting to go in there, and keep an eye on that. We're 8 points so far this season and 15th in the league table, but from an away form perspective for Leeds, it's in and around the same, I suppose. Leeds have played 3 away games this season, won 1 and lost 2, so it's not been brilliant. You'd like to see another win on the board if they can get it. Scored 3 goals away from home this season and conceded 7, with 3 points picked up on the road. So far, you would like to see that become 6 nice and early. The conversation topic over the last couple of weeks has been about Leeds versus the promoted sides from last season, and Leeds having 2 wins already on the board, where those promoted teams last year didn't get those 2 wins until December. But again, talking about the entirety of the fixture schedule, if we don't get those wins between now and December, we'll find ourselves in exactly the same position that they did come that time of the year. But it's going to be an interesting one. That international record, hoodoo or duck, needs to be broken a little bit. 4 wins on the back of international breaks. It needs to improve. And important for Leeds, like I say again, to get 3 points in this game. Let's look at the team news heading into the game. We'll start off with Burnley's team news, and they've got a couple of issues themselves. Lyle Foster pulled out of international duty with an injury, and he's expected to miss this game against Leeds United. Jordan Byer is out, as well as Zeki Amdoni is also out. But Connor Roberts is a doubt for this game, but there is confidence from Scott Parker that he might be available for this match. The former Leeds United loanee would no doubt like to play against his old side, as would a returning Jaden Anthony as well to play against Leeds. And Daniel Farke talked nicely about Jaden Anthony, saying he's got a special place in Leeds United heart, and Leeds have a very special place in his heart after the tributes and what Leeds fans did when his mother sadly passed away. So he's been in great form this season, one to watch. He's got 4 goals already in the Premier League so far this season, Jaden Anthony. So a threat, no doubt, for Leeds. But let's talk about the Leeds United team news. It's a mixed bag for Leeds. Lucas Perry is fit, but Daniel Farke says it's 2 weeks before he will entertain conversations around whether he should be the number 1 or whether Carl Darlow keeps his position beyond that. He's fit enough for the bench probably, but not fit enough to start because the players he needed to work with were away on international duty this week. So Farke is sticking with Carl Darlow, and Darlow will definitely start this game tomorrow. Willie Gnonto is over his calf problem, which is a good news, but he did have to get a hernia operation. Small one, light procedure, but had to be done during the international break. So he's out until next week at least. So that Leeds will have pretty much the same options on that right hand side that they had coming into the international break. Harry Gray still out with a hip flexor issue. He is expected back in training this week and to be back as part of the squad for next weekend's games, according to Daniel Farke. Dan James is ahead of schedule. He's not fit enough to start the game, but he is fit enough to make the bench, according to Daniel Farke. Credited his medical team with his recovery at this point in time. And the medical team, to be fair to them, have done a really good job so far this season. We've seen it with Ethan Ampadu and now out Tanaka getting back pretty quickly as well. They're managing to keep the players with bigger injury issues fit so far this season, with no Okafor picking up an injury this week. We'll talk about that next as well. And Okafor is out of this game with an adductor issue. Now, Daniel Farke had said in the press conference that he wasn't necessarily out, that he had trained part of the week, but it would be touch and go and they'd maybe look at it. But according to a tweet today from Fabrizio Romano, of all people, he says that Noah Okafor will be out for 7 to 10 days with an injury that he picked up in training. Again, another injury that Leeds United have picked up in training this season, which for me is a pattern I'd like to see go away. I'm not sure what they're doing in training. It's an adductor injury. It's maybe not necessarily caused by contact. Maybe it is. It's in that groin area. Maybe it was caused by something there. But yeah, he's going to be out. I'm not sure how I feel about information like that getting to somebody like Fabrizio Romano. Someone's told him that from within the club. I'm not sure that should be the case. We've talked an awful lot about how Leeds are airtight when it comes to information leaking out about the club, but team news leaking out before a match against Burnley. Daniel Farke made an interesting comment this week about egos in the dressing room and not allowing them, and people that would complain about lack of minutes or starting games, and didn't want that situation. But on the back of that, then we see information going to Fabrizio Romano that one of Leeds United's players will be out for 10 days. Not just telling Burnley that Okafor is not on the squad, but telling Leeds' next opponents also that he won't be available for that game as well. So I'm sure Daniel Farke won't be happy about that. It's the first time it's leaked out. Where it's come from, whether it's come from Okafor's camp himself or whether it's come from a player maybe coming in to replace Okafor, someone has leaked that information out and they probably shouldn't have done that. So not a great look at all. But most, as I say, the injuries at the moment for Leeds outside of Ampadu and Tanaka have come and trained in so far this year. So that is something Leeds are going to have a look at, because that can't keep happening this season. Let's move on to top of the key statistics leading into this game. Leeds will be looking for their first win at Turf Moor in front of fans in the top flight since September 27th, 1975, when Leeds won 1-0 thanks to a Trevor Cherry goal. Leeds obviously did beat Burnley during the COVID season, but that wasn't in front of fans. And this statistic talks about Leeds directly beating them in front of fans. The last player to score a spot kick, a penalty against Burnley in this fixture in the league at Turf Moor was Hugh Baird, and he did it for Leeds back in November 23rd, 1957. So it's a long time since Leeds United have scored a penalty at Turf Moor. Maybe that's a good one for this week if you like putting money on random statistics. That's probably one to have a little bit of a look at. We're also looking to win back-to-back away fixtures in the Premier League for the first time since April 9th, 2022, when Leeds United beat Watford and Wolverhampton Wanderers back-to-back on the road. So yeah, the away form is important. We always say with a season like this, the home form is vital to keep you in this league, but the away form against certain sides are where you can pick up those extra points and make it a little bit more comfortable. They talk about 32 and 36 points keeping you safe, but I think looking at the teams that did manage to stay safe over the last couple of years, that 40 point mark is still very much what we need to look for. And although 10 points, 10 wins will give you 30 points, you've got to pick up draws and additional points along the way to try and get to that 40 point mark. So it's going to be interesting. But head to head on these two sides, since 2020, Leeds have played Burnley 6 times, 4 times in the Premier League and 2 last season in the Championship. And Leeds have won 3 of them, lost 1 and drawn twice. Leeds played Burnley twice last season under Daniel Farke and haven't yet beaten them. A 1-0 home defeat at Ellen Road and a 0-0 draw the back end of the season as well. And as I say, Daniel Farke will want to get a win over Burnley. He did say that Leeds were the underdogs coming into this game and that Burnley, like themselves being promoted, they are the home side. Therefore, Leeds should be viewed as the underdog. I'm not sure I would view Leeds as the underdog coming into this. I think we've done probably better business than they have in the transfer market this summer. Farke did lean to the fact that Burnley picked up points against sides they should have picked points up against this season, and maybe probably even should have picked up points against Manchester City. So he's looking at that, and from that he says Leeds United are likely to be the underdogs coming into this game. So it's an interesting take on that. I'm not sure I go along with that fully, but it will be one that Leeds will hopefully get off their back. Daniel Farke getting a win over Scott Parker's Burnley, and then Leeds can focus then on the next set of games. And we've got 3 away games in this block of 4, and it won't be easy to pick up points on the road, but Leeds are going to have to target them if they want to get anything from these four matches. For me personally, 7 points is great. 5 points wouldn't be the end of the world. 9 points would be amazing if you can get that, if you can. But I think anything less than 5 points would be a poor block of results for Leeds. And then lastly, let's talk about the lineup going into this game. And Daniel Farke, at this time of the year, it tends to get a little bit predictable what Daniel Farke is going to do with his lineup. He tends to go through these spells of picking the same 11 back to back to back to back. But I think with some of the injuries that he's got at this point now means there's likely to be some form of changes coming into this game. And maybe a couple of surprises, but I'm not sure we'll get all the surprises that we think that will happen. We'll start off, though, with the personal gut feeling, and based on, again, the tweet from Romano, it looks like Jack Harrison will start his first game for Leeds United since he left the club on loan 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, whatever it was, when we went down on the left-hand side. And likely then the only option he has on the right-hand side, or at least the only option Daniel Farke sees, is Brendan Aronson, who hasn't had a huge amount of turnaround time to get back ready for this game. So it'll be a tired enough Brendan Aronson operating on that right-hand side, and he will be expected, as normal, to get through all the donkey work and do all the pressing and the tackling up front for Leeds United. But it gives you a 3 up front that doesn't exactly set the world on fire. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's likely to be in the middle of those two, is the player that needs good service and good delivery into the box. And you've got 2 players in Aronson and Jack Harrison who wouldn't be the best crossers of a ball in the world. So where the delivery is going to come from for DCL to score goals is going to be interesting. Leeds might need to get a little bit more creative through the middle of the pitch in this match. The other big question is the centre-back issue, and that's going to be, is it going to be Pascal Struijk, or will it be Jakob Biel? Daniel Farke has got a good opportunity with Biel having 2 international games under his belt and playing relatively well in both of those games to bring him in. But you just get the feeling again at this time of the year that Daniel Farke is going to likely just stick with the same players that he's been working with. Struijk's been at Thorpe Arch for the last 2 weeks, wasn't away on international duty. It's an international over a non-international question as well, I suppose. For me, I'd like to see Jakob Biel come in at some point because he was bought to be a starting player for Leeds United and improve the defence. But I get the feeling that Farke will likely stick with Pascal Struijk in this match for whatever reason he has for this. But yeah, he's been good so far this season. Struijk, he's just a bigger size. Teams that run at him where he's had a few of the shakier performances. But that's exactly where Jakob Biel's strengths are supposed to be. So it'll be an interesting one. We know the goalkeeping situation. Carl Darlow will start in goal. That's pretty much been confirmed by Farke. So if we're guessing the starting 11 for this game, this is what I'm going with. Carl Darlow in goal. Jayden Bogle and Gabby Goodmunson as the 2 fullbacks. Joe Rodon and Pascal Struijk in at centre back. Ampadu, Stack and Longstaff in midfield. I think out Tanaka, the journey coming back from the international break will likely see him remain on the bench. I'd like to see Tanaka in for this game from a more attacking perspective, but I don't think we will. Personally, I'd start Biel, I'd start Tanaka, but I don't think Daniel Farke will. And then the front 3 looks like it's going to be Harrison, Aronson and DCL. And Leeds again missing out on those final bits and pieces in the transfer window in the summer. Looks like right now is where it's coming back to haunt them, because they're not fantastically creative options that Leeds United will have. But from both of them, will have to work really hard. And I hope Jack Harrison can find the form and create some stuff for Leeds and maybe get a goal himself as well. And same with Brendan Aronson. Gonna have to dig deep in this game to create chances. But against a side like Burnley, it could be worse. It could be against an Arsenal or a Man City or a Liverpool. Against the Burnley side, they should. Jack Harrison's had 5 seasons back to back in the Premier League. should be able to go up against sides like this. Same with Brendan Aronson. He played against them twice last year. He should be able to handle this. But again, it's the one area of concern for me is that front three. But let me know yourselves what you think the lineup will be, what you want to see versus what you think Daniel Farke will do. And then score predictions. Personally, I think Leeds need to win this, and I think we'll keep a clean sheet. I'm going to be confident and optimistic, and it might be the wrong thing to do, but I'm going to go for a 2-0 Leeds United win. Where those goals will come from, I don't know. Maybe it's Joe Rodon with a header. Maybe it's an Anton Stack free kick or a Sean Longstaff long-range effort. As I say, we're going to have to be creative with goals in this game. I'm not sure exactly where they're going to come from. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'm going to be back for the match reaction, which I'm going to change this week because it's not been to everyone's takes. I tend to be a little bit more critical, again, how I look at football. So I'm going to change the format of it and try and break it into structures of positives, negatives, performance, individuals as well. So it's a bit more sectioned, and we can have a bit more of a balanced debate on the side after the matches as well. And then we're over on bigup.com tomorrow for the watch along for the game against Burnley. If you want to join us there, head over to bigup.com, the Leeds View. It's free to join and it's free to watch. And we've got a fantasy league competition that runs over there as well, where you pick 5 players from the 2 sides involved in the game. It's all for bragging rights as well, so you can get involved in that for free if you want to. I'll see you over there tomorrow. Outside that, enjoy the rest of your day. Check out today's news video as well. I really, really appreciate that. And I will be back, as I say, on Saturday to cover the game and give you the reaction afterwards. Have a great rest of your day. Fingers crossed for 3 points in this game. It's a huge one for me. We'll see how we go. Mind yourselves, folks. See ya. Bye.